Da Vinci is one of the key members of the Chaldea crew, and I think she has one of the most interesting moments in the story. A few days before Fuji and Mash left for Uruk, Da Vinci actually joined a mission to solve a small anomaly in a minute singularity. Well, it also turned into a little vacation trip for her. This small journey started off as a fun little trip to London, where Da Vinci secretly ray-shifted against Dr. Roman's wishes. And yeah, throughout the trip, there's a lot of friendly bickering and that kind of fondness that turns into belligerent sexual tension between Dr. Roman and Da Vinci. At the climax of that short adventure, Da Vinci had to fight her old friend, who turned out to be a ghoul, Michelangelo. And yeah, they managed to defeat him. Da Vinci believed that Michelangelo's transformation into a spirit ghoul was somehow tied to her, because she remembered that she died before he did. It's basically about the loneliness that comes when you're left behind. After all that light-hearted stuff, the tone suddenly shifts. The background goes dark, and Da Vinci starts a monologue. This is where things hit hard emotionally, because it turns out that the whole trip was just Da Vinci reminiscing about a bittersweet memory with Dr. Roman, when she once told him how working alone made her feel lonely. But now, with Dr. Roman gone, she can't help but think about it. That's actually really heartwarming, but also kind of heartbreaking. Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've talked about all kinds of emotional moments in past videos, but we rarely focus on the truly heartwarming ones. So today, let's take a look at some moments in FGO that are both heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. Oh, and just a heads up, I won't be including moments from the main story. I'm only focusing on the lesser-known ones from interludes, events, and other hidden gems. Since FGO is a gacha game, not everyone gets to experience these stories unless they actually summon the characters, so let's shine a light on those overlooked moments. Rama is the protagonist of the Ramayana, one of the two major epic poems from India. Answering the gods' requests, Vishnu reincarnated as Rama, born as a human prince completely unaware of his divine origins. In his legend, Rama is always depicted wielding a bow and is a master archer. So logically, he should belong to the archer class, right? But in Fate Grand Order, he's always summoned as a saber. Even funnier is that his noble phantasm still involves him throwing his weapon, just like some archers we know. But you see, there's actually a beautiful reason behind this. FGO Material 3 reveals that Rama chooses to manifest as a saber because Sita qualifies as an archer. That way, in a Holy Grail war, there's at least a chance they can be summoned together. Even if it's as enemies, even if it's only for a brief moment, at least they can talk to each other as husband and wife once more. Now, emotional whiplash moments can also be seen in some developments. Some servants actually remember their past summons and even carry over their character development from other Fate works. They also mention their former masters from time to time. One of the best examples is Saber Artoria. Her character development from Fate Stay Night is already intact. She's now a full-fledged heroic spirit. Sure, some memories from Camelot still make her sad, but she no longer wishes to undo her rule. Even Iskandar comments on how proud he is that she's finally free from regret, before immediately laughing to himself and saying he still wants to mess with her. Now all she really needs is actual involvement in the series outside of cameos and alternate versions of herself. Speaking of Saber Artoria, we have to talk about Emiya too. On the surface, he doesn't seem all that different from his Fate Stay Night self. But while he's still the same cynical mentor, he's also way more at peace with his past. Instead of being the guy so full of self-loathing that he's willing to kill his younger self in all 3 Fate routes, he now acts more like a seasoned, mature Shiro, one who's been through it all and just gets it. It's honestly really sweet to see someone who was once so burdened by his past finally able to move forward. Character development hits even harder when servants who were once enemies in past Fate works end up becoming close friends in FGO. A great example is Sieg's interlude. At first, the guy is just avoiding everyone by staying in spirit form 24/7. But then Frankenstein and Mordred step in and basically tell him to stop being a hermit and start socializing. What makes this even better is that all three of them share something in common. They're all artificial humans. Sieg is a homunculus, Mordred is essentially a clone of Artoria, and Fran was created by Dr. Victor Frankenstein. Now, the real interesting thing about them is that despite all of them being in Fate Apocrypha, they barely had any meaningful interactions there. Fran got taken out early in the war while fighting Mordred, so she and Sieg never even interacted. Sieg and Mordred didn't really talk much either. At first, they were in different factions, and their personalities couldn't be more opposite. So seeing them actually bonding and looking out for each other in FGO, despite their record as enemies, is actually really heartwarming. Now, still talking about Mordred, I actually remembered something interesting about her. You see, there's a moment in Saber Wars where mysterious heroine X comes face to face with Mordred. And come on, we all know how things are between Mordred and Artoria. Even if you only know a bit about the Arthurian legends, you probably know the basics. Mordred is Artoria's child, but Artoria never acknowledged her, which is what led to Mordred's anger in the first place. But what about in the Servant verse? After all, everyone from the Servant verse has a different background and such, right? Like, you can't really call them the same person since they're from different universes. Well, in that moment, Mordred actually recognizes X as her father, but X completely denies it and even swears to kill her. And that cold rejection, that total lack of mercy, is what makes Mordred realize, yeah, this really is her father. Dang, that hits hard. It's the kind of pain only Mordred could truly understand. Among all the possible clues or hints that could prove X is really Artoria, the strongest and most undeniable proof for Mordred turns out to be the feeling of hatred that X shows toward her. And then there's Karna. This guy remembers his time with his master Jinako Karagiri from Fate Extra CCC so fondly that he just won't stop bringing her up in some events. Whether he's randomly comparing her to a hermit crab, or monologuing about video games to Arjuna, which, let's be real, he 100% learned from Jinako, the guy clearly cherishes those memories. And for Jinako herself, she ended up as a pseudo-servant for the god Ganesha. And if you dig into her backstory, this becomes interesting. You see, I remember someone said that Jinako lost her parents when she was a kid, which is a big reason why she became a shut-in. But after meeting Karna, she finally had someone who cared about her to the point where she even described him as an overly doting father or an older brother, depending on who you ask. Now, the heartwarming moment is the fact that she's Ganesha. She's not alone anymore. She's got Karna, her big bro figure, Parvati, aka Ganesha's mom, Arjuna, who kind of just follows Karna around, Kama, who tags along with Parvati, and if you stretch it, a whole bunch of other people could be included in Ganesha's family tree, or from Ganesha's perspective in Indian lore. In other words, she finally has a family. Now, when it comes to topics like this, there's one character who pretty much embodies the concept: Jack the Ripper. Ironically, despite her terrifying origins, Jack is a walking ball of wholesomeness. Well, most of the time. From the moment she's summoned, congrats, you're officially her mom, no matter your actual gender. Her first 4 bond lines are all about her slowly warming up to you until she trusts you enough to playfully tickle her. And by the time you hit her 5th bond level, she's straight up asking for a hug. And when you ask her what she likes, she just says sleeping in a warm bed. Considering her origins as an unknown street entity, or maybe wraith, that little detail hits different. It means someone, whether it's you or someone else in Chaldea, actually gave her a room of her own. Or maybe she just curls up next to her new mom at night. Either way, it's the kind of wholesome that melts your heart. Speaking of Jack, she and Nursery Rhyme are actually really good friends. And honestly, one of my all-time favorite heartwarming moments in this series comes from a Christmas event involving these two. Back in the first Christmas event, Artoria Alter was the Santa in charge of delivering presents. At one point, while going about her Santa duties, she ran into Jack and Nursery Rhyme wandering the streets, not celebrating Christmas because, well, no one had given them any presents. It's kind of sad, but it makes sense. Jack is literally a collection of wraiths born from children who died mysteriously, and Nursery Rhyme is just the manifestation of children's stories. They aren't exactly beings that normal people can understand. So when they met Santa Artoria, they straight up asked for presents. But instead of handing them over, Artoria refused. Instead, she told them that if they wanted gifts, they'd have to take them from her, meaning they'd have to fight her for them. In the end, Jack and Nursery Rhyme lost the fight and accepted that they weren't getting any presents that Christmas. But then, out of nowhere, Santa Artoria suddenly collapsed, pretending to be too weak to keep her gifts. Of course, it was just an act. She purposely threw the fight so that Jack and Nursery would have an excuse to take the presents. And not just one each, she actually gave them multiple boxes. Bro, this moment was pure Christmas magic. It was such a simple but genuinely heartwarming scene, and it made me so happy to see them get their happy moment. There are plenty of heartwarming moments even in the smaller stories that most masters don't really pay much attention to. I'm talking about Bond craft essences. Some of them hit really deep, telling emotional stories tied to the servants. Take Arjuna Alter's Bond CE, for example. This is a guy who became an all-powerful deity after absorbing every god in Indian mythology, but his craft essence is just a small wooden figurine. Now, the story behind this is really touching. At some point, he realized that his master didn't summon him to be some unstoppable divine force. They just wanted him as he was. So instead of relying on his overwhelming power, he decided to carve something with his own hands. He found that the process, slow, imperfect, and completely human, was way more fulfilling than using divine energy to create something instantly. The figurine itself is simple, a little rough around the edges, but to him it mattered. It was his work, something he made, and that alone gave it value. And then he drops this absolutely beautiful line. "This thing, as incomplete as it is something I made. It's small, but it's a sense of pride an almighty God can never possess." For a being that was supposed to be perfect, realizing that imperfection has its own beauty is what makes this moment so powerful. Still on the topic of Bond CEs, let's talk about Heracles. His Bond CE is the Einsburn Castle, and the flavor text mentions something really interesting. Even though he's stuck in a state of permanent mad enhancement in FGO, he still has fleeting memories of a certain white-haired girl who was precious to him. Now, what makes this even more chef's kiss is the effect of the CE itself. It lets Heracles revive 3 times in battle. Now, I know the in-game mechanics and the lore behind the CE don't necessarily connect, but let's have some fun with this. What if the reason Herc keeps coming back to life isn't just because of his god hand, but because of his determination to hold on to those warm memories at Einsburn Castle with Ilya? What if, even with his mind clouded by madness, the memory of her is enough to bring him back from the brink of death again and again, even when his divine protection should have run out? It's a heartwarming way to think about it. Well, I'm pretty sure that was just my wishful thinking, but that was still pretty interesting, right? Now for the last one. And honestly, this one hits deep. Out of all the Guda Guda characters, I think Nagao Kagetora is the one I'd want to get closer to the most. There's just something about her that makes you want to hug her. Some of you probably already know this, but Kagetora just can't understand others, no matter how hard she tries. Her eyes might look terrifying, but in that flashback where she's praying desperately to Bishamonten, begging to know why she can't connect with people, it's absolutely heartbreaking. The way she laughs, probably because she doesn't even know how to cry, just makes it even sadder. It's like she's smiling through pure loneliness. There's this flashback from her childhood. Her father and brother are both terrified of her. Her own father slaps her and calls her a monster he never wants to see again. Her sister's the only one who seems to understand, but even then, she's powerless to help. Then, in another flashback, Kagetora overhears her brother admitting that he fears her more than the gods or Buddha. And once again, all she can do is laugh. It all builds up to that one painful realization. Even after becoming a great warrior, a hero to her people, Kagetora knows she'll always be alone. The same power that made her a legend is also the reason she'll never truly be understood. Help me, Bishamonten. I can't understand people. I know that people are weak and fragile. I know that they curry favor with those stronger than themselves and trod mercilessly upon those weaker. Yet, despite that, I have dedicated my life to protecting them in the name of virtue and morality. I have killed many, many people in war. That is all this strength is good for. This monstrous strength that my father, my brother, and my sister feared. I will no doubt kill many, many more people as the wars continue. But am I truly protecting people by killing others in this way? Help me, Bishamonten. I cannot understand people, no matter how hard I try. That part honestly broke my heart. In the game, there's no CG to show what she looked like during that monologue. But when I first read it, I couldn't help but imagine it. She was probably scrunching up her face while praying, hoping that tears would fall. But what appeared instead was a crazed, dark look in her eyes and loud, unsettling laughter. That's just sad. Yeah, that last one isn't exactly heartwarming. I just want you guys to know that sometimes a person who can warm your heart with their actions can also have one of the most heartbreaking, gut-wrenching moments ever. I think that's all for today. Don't forget to click subscribe, like, and share. And I'll see you guys next time.